Oda just spoiled the ending of One Piece. In One Piece, ancient fossilized tree drawings were introduced, and this drawing simply tells us the history of the world. The world of One Piece is turned upside down, and not just this one world, but also the second and third world, which no longer exist in the story. Let's analyze this ancient tree drawing together and theorize about what else must happen in One Piece. The 𝚲𝚙𝚎 is an ancient story from the culture of the giants of Elbaf. In the Japanese kanji, 𝚲𝚲 can also mean ancient script. The 𝚲𝚲 speaks of the sun god Nika, and every giant has a different interpretation of what the sun god Nika did in his tale. Some call him the god of destruction, others the god of liberation, and yet others refer to him as the god of laughter. But what is the truth? Honestly, aside from Oda, none of us know. The problem is that we haven't seen a flashback from this ancient time, so we can't form a concrete picture of the situation. However, in One Piece chapter 1038, we get a glimpse of the 𝚲𝚙. It looks like a child's drawing. According to Ripley, it might depict the dream of a child. A childlike secret dream is also connected to Luffy and Roger, as both once spoke the same words and seem to share the same dream. Who's to say that Joy Boy or the original Nika didn't speak the same words as well? The 𝚲𝚲 is divided into two pages, separated by a tree in the middle. On the left side, we see an ancient battle where a demon-like entity holding the sun fights against Nika and his allies. There's an elephant-like silhouette, small humanoid figures, and an ancient industrialized city. Many of these scribbles can be interpreted because we have over 1137 chapters of world building in One Piece, allowing us to match characters and civilizations to the figures on the drawing. The left side is much easier to interpret. It likely depicts the war between Joy Boy and the 20 royal families. The demon-like entity probably represents Emu. Below the demon, we see a ship, possibly symbolizing Emu's allies. We can identify various races fighting alongside Nika: Poseidon and the Sea Kings, the Tontatta, the Lunarians, the Giant and Ancient Giants, the Samurai of Wano, Emeth, and the Minks, and maybe even the Kingdom of Alabasta. Additionally, we see a Waylord-like figure, possibly a reference to Laboon or the Fishman. The right side of the 𝚲𝚙 is much more harder to decipher. We see two large shadowy figures breathing fire, a moon is visible in the background, a flying ark appears resembling Enel's Maxime, an elephant-like figure, possibly Zunisha, carries a crowned figure on its back. Inside the elephant silhouette there are a ship, an angel, and various animals. This is possibly a reference to the biblical Noah's Ark. We also see 19 characters, some with halos, some without, are shaping something with their hands. We see a modern city resembling Black City from Pokemon Black and White. The industrialized city has gears powered by people, possibly a metaphor for slavery, similar to the escalators in Merijoa. The 19 figures and the crowned figure could represent the 20 royal families of the Void Century. The massive serpent-like being could be the Hell Serpent from the ancient texts. The two shadowy figures might also represent the ancient weapons metaphorically. Before we analyze the text from the drawings, we have to ask ourselves who drew the 𝚲𝚙. The 𝚲𝚙 might have been drawn by Joy Boy himself. Ripley suggests it resembles a child's dream. Joy Boy has literally boy in his name, meaning a young male child. We also know that Luffy is terribly at drawing, which could be another parallel to Joy Boy. This might seem like a stretch, but Luffy has made prophetic drawings in the story before, although in a comedic way. He once drew a fishman, and later a similar fishman appeared in the story. Luffy also drew his ideal shipwright, and Frankie ended up matching that drawing, sharing traits like the blue hair, the iron nose, and the Popeye arms.
The earth burned in endless flame, and in the hearts of men burned with desire. From whispered prayers the sun god rose, beckoned by the enslaved who reached for the forbidden star. The god of the land was enraged. With a serpent of fire they cast the world into ruin. Darkness fell, death reigned. They would not meet again.
Each of these lines can now be interpreted. Every sentence offers us a clue about what truly happened in the world of One Piece. A world in flames could symbolize chaos. Humanity reaches for the sun might be a reference to the Mother Flame, which Vegapunk tried to artificially create. This could also describe the first ever devil fruit emerging, as Vegapunk believes devil fruit originate from human desires. The enslaved prey and the sun god appears. This could mean that slavery already existed in the world of One Piece. The sun god Nika may have first awakened due to the prayers of the enslaved, but was Nika the first devil fruit user, or did his abilities predate devil fruits? Perhaps Nika himself was once a slave who gained his abilities through the Mother Flame, which allowed him to stretch his body. The earth deity was enraged by Nika's awakening. This deity is likely not a person but the earth itself. The text treats natural phenomena as divine entities. The Hellflame serpent filled the world with death and darkness. This serpent could be a metaphor for the Red Line. In Norse mythology, a world world serpent exists, and the giants of Elbaf call the red line the great serpent. This strongly implies that the red line was artificially created, possibly by the first Nika. They shall never meet again. Who is this being referred to? Nika and his allies, or the entire world now separated by the red line? Many theories suggest that the One Piece world was once a single landmass, like our world's ancient supercontinent Pangaea. Incidentally, the celestial dragon's castle is called Pangaea Castle. Maybe the first world was still united, like a real One Piece. And then the red line tore it apart.
A breath steered in the abyss. The god of the forest wove their magic, nurturing its devils. While the sun lit the embers of war, those of the half-crescent and the full moon streamed. Yet the ones who slew the sun deified themselves. Evoking the wrath of the sea god, they would not meet again.
This text about the second world is quite clear to interpret, except for two sections. This world probably takes place during the Void Century. The breath in the void hints at a life existing even in nothingness. Even though the world government tries to erase this time from history, the characters of this era still live on. After all, only truly dies when they are forgotten. The deity of the forest sends devils. Again, a deity is mentioned. I suspect, similar to the deity of the earth, that this is not an actual character, but nature itself. This section could be interpreted as the origin of today's devil fruits. Maybe the abilities already existed in the first world, but only in this second world were they transformed into fruits. The transfer of a will and a dream is a central theme in One Piece. If devil fruit abilities emerge from wishes and desires, they must have been transferred to fruits at some point. Maybe this happened through the character's will so that their dream would never die. In One Piece, willpower is represented by Haki. I know this sounds crazy, but what if devil fruits were created through Haki during the Void Century? After all, we are repeatedly told that Haki is stronger than devil fruits. If one could manifest and pass on today's devil fruit abilities using Haki, it would make perfect sense why Haki is superior to devil fruits in the One Piece universe. The sun then sowed the seeds of war. I assume the second sun refers to Joy Boy. Through his journey as a pirate and his adventures, he likely helped many nations and freed people from slavery, making many enemies along the way, just like Luffy. Then the people of the Crescent Moon saw a dream. The Kozuki family also has a connection to the Crescent Moon. I wouldn't be surprised if in a Void Century flashback we learn that the Kozuki clan was also part of the D-Carriers. After all, Oden died with a smile on his face, just like the D-Carriers do. The people of the moon saw a dream. This is a tricky passage. Who are the people of the moon? The ancient inhabitants of the moon, such as the Birkans, Shandians and the Skypians? Or could this refer to the Minks, since they also have a connection to the full moon? Let me know in the comments what you think about this passage. The next part about humans becoming gods after killing the sun is quite obvious. The 20 royal families killed Joy Boy and rose to become the celestial dragons. The deity of the sun raged. Again, this is likely not a specific character, but the sea itself. This passage probably explains the 200-meter sea level rise. This passage ends again with "they cannot meet again." This likely refers to Joy Boy's allies. Due to the red line and the increased sea level, it has become incredibly difficult for Joy Boy's allies to reunite. There are now two major natural barriers that make such a reunion nearly impossible. One interesting detail in this text is about the sun. In the first world, there's a mention of the sun god. In the second world, it is only called the sun. This could imply that Nika was the original sun god, and Joy Boy inherited Nika's will, metaphorically becoming the sun rather than a sun god himself. It's no coincidence that Oda does not refer to a sun god again in this passage.
Chaos reigns. The world drifts in a void, yet time does not erase the memory of the promised day. Its shadow looms as the voice of the half-moon echoes through the ages. And once more, the sun god shall rise, laughing, dancing, guiding the world to its final act. The sun is reborn, a new dawn will break. Surely, this time, they will meet.
The third world of One Piece is currently in the making. The first two ancient texts are more or less flashbacks. This text about the third world is foreshadowing events that have yet to occur. The first passages refer to the time after the Void Century. The troubled shadow that remembers the prophesied days and hears the voices of the fragmented moon is most likely Imu, who is becoming paranoid and fears the return of Nika or Joy Boy. We have seen what happened when Imu is afraid. He kills even his most loyal allies, just because he gets hit by a bit of an ancient conqueror's haki. The half moon likely refers to the scattered D-carriers, who still don't know why they carry their initial in their name. Of course, Imo and the Gorosei want to keep it that way. If their enemies remain divided, they won't be able to reunite. The Promised Day could also refer to Joy Boy and Poseidon's promise. The two were supposed to meet again, but Joy Boy was unable to fulfill his vow. The sun god laughs and dances, leading the world to its final act. This is definitely a reference to Ragnarok from Norse mythology. Luffy, together with his nakama, will probably bring about the destruction of the world as we know it in One Piece. Just as it was prophesied that Luffy would destroy Fishman Island. He will trigger a great cataclysm. The sun will return and a new dawn will rise. Surely, this time they will meet again. This suggests that the characters who could not meet in the previous two worlds will now finally reunite in this third world. Luffy has already met most of the races and people that were once allied with Joy Boy. Many of them are even officially his allies now, and they will help him in the battle against the world government and the Celestial Dragons. Now let's take a final look at what is still to come in the third world of One Piece. Could it even be possible that Luffy will usher in a fourth world? Through these texts it should now be clear that the creation of the Red Line and the rise of the sea level were the two catastrophic events that destroyed the original world of One Piece. Luffy will likely restore the world to its original form, the Red Line will be destroyed, and the sea level will drop. To accomplish this, Luffy will need the help of the ancient weapons, the united races of the world, and probably even ancient technology from the Void Century. This also implies that Nika and Joy Boy were two different characters. It is still unclear who Nika's true enemies were, or who the slaves of that even more ancient time might have been. What we do know is that both Nika and Joy Boy lost. We don't know how Nika died, but we do know that Joy Boy was killed by the Ancient Alliance. How Imo and the royal families managed to defeat this Ancient Alliance remains a mystery. It probably has something to do with a demonic-looking figure holding the sun. Perhaps Nika and Joy Boy sacrificed themselves to save the world, much like the biblical Jesus. Luffy then is the third in line, who through his own resurrection became the new Nika. By destroying the Red Line and lowering the sea levels, Luffy will bring about the dawn of the world. At that point, Luffy will be the freest man on the ocean, able to travel anywhere without limits, just like his friends. What do you think about the ancient drawings in One Piece? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, watch this video next.